Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Big Sarge here, and I just wanted to thank you for joining me for my first ever official franchise video. I've been wanting to do these for quite a while, however, I've just not done it. So I want to thank you for joining me for my first video. Today we're going to be looking at a realistic rebuild for the Indianapolis Colts following the Carson Wentz trade. For those of you who don't know me personally, I am a massive Colts fan. Been one since Peyton Manning, but I've really fallen in love with football across the board and could watch any team and tell you a fair chunk about the players and everything. But I wanted to go with the Colts not only because they're my favorite, but because I think they're on a interesting path right now acquiring Carson Wentz. They did get him fairly cheap. I mean, honestly, those of you who don't know the trade, it's, I believe, a third round this year and a second next year, which could turn into a first following the event that we make the playoffs and Carson Wentz plays 70 to 75% of snaps. I can't remember. So I've been debating with a lot of people about this. And I have a lot of friends who talked crap to me about it, to be honestly. And I think it's craziness. Craziness. We're going to play on All Pro Simulation, by the way. I'm going to run through these settings as I'm talking to you. But I think it's crazy because we're going to know by week 10 to 15 if Carson Wentz is going to be our guy. We're going to see if Frank Wright can help him. Even if we have a limited OTA and, preseason game set, I mean, we're going to know for the most part how Carson Wentz is going to come here and play under Frank Wright again. So I think it was a great trade, and that's why I really am excited to get into this, and I can't wait for the season, so I'm happy to do it myself. I just got to jump in and go for it. So we're going to start. The hard part about this is we're not going to have any scouting points, and I did this for you guys and myself because I wanted to have all the official stats from last year for all my players, and that way, people can't say anything about me boosting Pittman, having him have like a 1,500-yard season or whatnot and getting his stats better than what they are, although I do think he is going to be fantastic. So we skipped all the way to the end of the season, and this is where the game lets you start, and it's going to do the Super Bowl, and whoever wins or whatever, that's not really going to affect us, and it really won't affect too much of the draft, just the last two. But this is going to give us the best stats, and as far as going into everything with contracts. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into re-sign players with Jonathan Taylor, Jordan Wilkins, and Naheem Hines under contract. I love Marlon Mack, but we will not bring him back, I don't think. He's going to want a chance to be a feature back, and with Jonathan Taylor there, and honestly Naheem Hines too, we're not going to be the team that's going to be able to offer him that. And we're certainly not going to want to dump money into it when we have very cheap other options. So unfortunately, we're moving on from Marlon Mack. Love him. Best of luck. Good luck to you, man. Phillip Rivers retired with his 24 kids. T.Y. Hilton wants the right deal. I did try a test run on this, and he does not take a very good offer in this. So I'm going to let him hit free agency, and we'll kind of try to hit him there. I loved Xavier Rhodes this year. I think he had a pretty good resurgence on his career with us. I will let him walk, maybe try to offer him something in free agency, so we'll see about that. Here comes another problem. Malik Hooker. I'm pretty sure he was Chris Ballard's first ever draft pick back when Pagano was still here. And I really like Hooker. Out of Ohio State, great player. Had some health issues and was inconsistent, but he had some serious ball hawk moments that were just crazy impressive. With the draft pick of Julian Blackman last year, I think it makes us very, very unlikely to re-sign Malik Hooker. He's not going to want to take a super cheap deal. He hasn't been broken off yet. So I don't think he comes back to Indy because we're just not going to be able to offer him a good enough price when he's not even going to be our starting free safety. We're going to roll with Julian Blackman, the third-round pick. Pretty sure he's a third-round pick last year, who just came out and was a stud and kind of got snubbed out of Defensive Rookie of the Year talk, which is just crazy to me because he was great. I love Houston. Don't think we're bringing him back. He's going to want a fair decent amount of money, and I think we just have cheaper, better options, and we can try to hit something in the draft. No Trey Burton, moving on from him. No Danico Autry, too old. So we get to our first guy, and I am so excited about Zach Pascal. Like, I'm moving my arms around while I'm talking to you right now, even though you can't see it. This dude, I saw him at a Texans game in person. My wife got me some tickets for my birthday, and we went up there, and it was one of the best games I've ever seen. Texans and Colts went into overtime. Andrew Luck throws a pass to Chester Rogers. It was kind of low, dropped, game over. Texans won. However, Zach Pascal came out and just had a great time. Had a lot of energy, was dancing around, just showed that he loved the game. And so I'm super excited to try to bring him back. Naheem Hines really balled out that game too, catching a pass against Tyrann Mathieu was pretty sweet. But we're going to offer him a 4-year deal. We want to keep him long-term. We're not going to be able to break him off too much because he just hasn't proven that he's like a top-tier wide receiver. But we're going to try to lock him up. $20 million. Perfect. He wants to come back. So that helps us a lot. Here's another guy, Anthony Walker. This dude, I don't know what it is about the Colts linebackers. They just don't get as much respect as they deserve. I'm not saying he is Levante David, Bobby Wagner, even KJ Wright, but he is a fantastic linebacker that deserves a little respect on his name, and we're going to not necessarily break him off. We're going to try to give him a pretty decent contract. Hopefully he takes about $25 million is what I'm looking for here. And we can bring him in and keep him for the long term. Great. His stats should be way better, by the way. Mo Alley Cox. I love Big Mo. When he's in our game plan, he does play very well. I do think we have Jack Doyle and we had Trey Burton this year, and I think he kind of gets written off. And I think this year we might try to carve out a bigger role for him. We'll see. I think I'm going to target a tight end in either the draft or free agency, so we'll kind of see how it plays out. But I think he's great positional value, and we can bring him back fairly cheap for several years. And honestly, that is mostly it. I might try to, let's see if I can get him pretty cheap. I think he's had some really good moments, but we're going to need some depth. We can't just let everybody, go. But behind that, Jacoby Brissett, love you. Great for the community. Walter Payton Man of the Year nomination for the Colts last year. We're going to let him slide. We're going to let all these guys slide. Costanza retired, so that's going to be a big thing. We're going to have to figure out. I'm pretty sure the game won't have him retired, but we're going to have to figure out left tackle for sure. I'm going to do this trade for Carson Wentz real quick. Let's see if we can get it as close as possible to real life. Boom. So I had to throw in a little extra, but Colts are now going to go in a new direction with Carson Wentz, who I haven't heard anybody say it, but honestly, he kind of makes me think of Andrew Luck. I think Luck's 6'4", Wentz 6'5". They're both around 235, I think, is their weight. And they both had to play a lot of hero ball in their time. And Luck, honestly, with Pagano, he was running and gunning for his life all the time. It was unreal. It made me think of Wentz a lot whenever we traded him. And I wasn't super big on Wentz whenever they were talking about 2 first-round picks. And I stand by that. But I'm excited to get him now. I think he's going to put us on a path that we can succeed. And he reminds me a lot of Luck. So we'll see how that goes. So we got Hilton, good. John Smith. Hendrickson did reject. That's unfortunate. We really could have used that depth. And Griffin stays. But that is going to free us up some cap. And here's where I said we're going to get screwed on draft points, but I want to talk about that franchise guy is a man who does YouTube videos, and they're just fantastic. If you want good content, go check him out. He makes this draft class, I think 2 or 3 years running now, he's been number 1. And I love it. It's the only one I really use. But we're going to lose a lot of scouting points. I could have 100-something guys scouted if I would have done the season, but that's just not an option right now for the way I want to do this franchise. They're talking about Quentin Nelson here. Craziness. Back the Brinks truck up. Who was it? Jalen, God, what was his name? He played for the Jags, and he's talking. He's like, back the Brinks truck. Jalen Ramsey. He's like, back the Brinks truck up. I'm about to get broke off. And I think he did, and then he got traded and all that craziness because he's a drama mama. But Quentin Nelson is just the ideal player. I think he could move out to left tackle this year for the Colts. I think he'd be great, but I just think he's a better left guard. I think that's where he should stay. We'll see how that works out. I might try to draft a tackle here. Let's see here. I just don't think we're going to have any of these guys near. This might be more our range as a second round. He's got a 3rd round grade on him. So I might be able to snag him later depending on if somebody takes him. But I think tackles are going to be just gone like crazy. So that's going to be really hard for us to mess with. If we do move Nelson out, we could check out a guard. See, there's a good guard. There's always some, but the more points you have, the more chance you can find somebody. So we'll stick with him. I'd really like to maybe even look at another D tackle. We got Grover Stewart, and that's a good first grade. And obviously DeForest Buckner, and they're fantastic. But I am going to change my scheme up a little bit and try to focus more on getting a lot of pressure with just the front four guys. And with that, obviously, we're going to need good front four guys. So we'll see how this plays out. Excuse me. Apparently, I got something stuck in my throat. Let's see what's in our range. I believe we're drafting at 21. And they got, some guys here. Apparently, he's not very good. I think we're going to be good at corner. I actually think this guy went back to Ohio State. Owowa's up here. Leatherwood, not great. Little's not great. I wouldn't mind Asante Samuel Jr., although I did just pay a lot of money. So we don't have enough for even one more guy, so there's no point in doing it. So we'll kind of see how this draft goes. It's going to be rough, but honestly, compared to how real life's going to be, it's going to be rough for NFL teams anyways without a real combine, without being able to really get into these guys. They can do Zoom calls, but a Zoom call only does you so much. I mean, you see how many draft busts are missed every single year with in-person interviews and watching in-person workouts. So this year's going to be pretty crazy. We're going to jump into the draft, just kind of wing it a little bit. I'm going to pause the draft just so I can mess with this real quick. I kind of want to see who goes first overall. It better be Trevor Lawrence. It is Trevor Lawrence. The next couple picks don't really matter to us, so let's go to our user pick. And, of course, the Bears steal my guy. Typical Bears, got to ruin my day. The only great thing is that we beat them in the one Super Bowl. They're getting me back right here because I really was going to shoot for Basham here. I thought he could be a guy I could have come off the edge and make a pretty big difference. So let's wing it and see what we got here. Definitely not going with Fields, not Lance. I know they're both there. I don't think they're worth it. In real life, I think they are far out of the first round, and it blows my mind they're there. We could go left tackle. I just don't know that. I think he's got a first-round draft grade on, but I wasn't able to scout him, so I don't know if he's any good. Owohe's there. Junior. I guess let's look at who I've scouted. I like Owohe. I think he could be a real option in real life. I'll tell you who I like better is Brenton Cox. I think he's a little bit more polished for what I'm looking at. I mean, his pursuit's better, tackling better, free. His tackling's worse. But I think that overall, I want to go with Cox here. He's 21. Let's look real quick how old he is. 23. So I want to start younger and be able to build him up and hopefully make him into a much more polished player in my system. So let's go with Brenton Cox. Apparently they don't like his name. He's a good draft pick. We got him pretty much right where we were supposed to. So that worked out good. As we get into these later rounds, though, it's going to be a much tougher thing. There went Olave who went back to school, so that's a little mistake in there, but it's not going to affect us there very much. Go to our scouted. I think we're going to go. Zion Johnson's the best one we've got scouted. And we're in the second round. There's a chance he could slide back, but I don't have a third round pick because of the trade I made for Carson Wentz. So I am going to take him. He's the best player that I know available right now in my scouting. And he's fairly young, so we'll take him and try to fit him into our system. 22. Right. So we drafted him almost right in spot again. That's a good draft pick. Hidden player development, 22. And he can help our offensive line out, certainly with depth, even if he doesn't start, because, injuries happen. And I'm sure I'll have injuries. So I think that's a great pick for us. It's a nice, safe pick. Fourth round, I have no idea what we're about to be looking at. We're probably going to have to swing on somebody here. Let's look at left tackle. No, we already got a tight end. Left tackle. It's not good. We're not seeing anything really good here. Okay, so I think our best option is going to be to go with a big, heavy left tackle. Wasn't able to scout him, but we're just going to take a swing shot here. I think Calvin Ashley is going to be a big guy, young, that's going to give us a good chance. He's a good pick. We got him ranked right about where he is, so that's not bad. He's not great statistically, so if that's our starting left tackle, it's going to be a rough start. And with these next ones, even in my real life knowledge, I just don't have it. That was a really good pick by the Bears. They got a really good edge player and a D tackle, and they've already got a pretty solid D line. So the Bears defense is going to be even better than it was. I think our best option here is we're just going to probably look to trade away our last few picks. That way next year we can have a better chance. There's a 4th round from the Vegas. Cleveland offered a better 4th round, so we're going to go ahead and take Cleveland's pick here, and then we'll just do the same. I think I still have all the 6th and 7th, but if we just trade out of them and move it to next year, I don't think we could find anybody that would actually make a difference for us, and we're just shooting straight up in the dark. There's a 140, 138, 124. Wow, we're getting some good offers here. Apparently they know something I don't know. So we're going to take the Niners, take up their pick. I mean, look, you're getting guys. Let's see who they pick. Look at this. I mean, they got Sean Davis, 64. That's not somebody that I want on my team. There's no reason to be just throwing away my picks here. Landon Dickerson. That's a weird spelled last name. But look, I mean, a 58 overall, that guy's not even going to be on the team, most likely. So I just think we're going to stick with trading out. 173, 170, 170 it is. Thank you, Jets. And is that our 7th round? Well, that's a late 7th round. They gave us a 6th round. So that's kind of crazy. And it's a Jets, so it might be a pretty high one. Let's see who they pick. Right. Osa Odigizua. No. 63 overall. I mean, that's just awful. So let's just go ahead and get out of this draft. Let's get out of here. Real life, it's going to be a mess. It was a mess here. We ended up walking away with, 3 good players? 3 good players, and they're young. So, I mean, that helps our salary system a little bit. It's keeping us fresh on age. We got probably our starting left tackle, and we got a good lineman to kind of give us some depth, and we got a starting left end in Brenton Cox, so I think it's going to come in and help us. 74, 71, and 68. So not a bad haul. Not a lot. I mean, we just didn't have enough time to scout, so let's go ahead and move into the preseason now. All right, guys, I kind of zoomed through the preseason for you. We had a pretty good preseason. I did have to do a few things off camera, moving around some players in the draft, not draft cuts, but my trimming down the team to get it to the roster. But there's definitely a few things I wanted to wait for you guys to be here for. One of them being Carson Wentz number being assigned. So we talked to Michael Pittman. Pittman wears 11. Wentz wore 11 at the Eagles. And Pittman said, nah, man, I'm not changing. This is my number. This is my house, which is maybe not smart. I don't know. I love Pittman personally. Don't know that I would tell a quarterback who's going to be the starter for the Colts, at least going forward. Nah. So we'll see how that works out. But I think Wentz comes in and he should take number 1, say, I'm going to be the leader of this team. I'm number 1, and I'm taking this forward, and we're going to go do business and win us some Super Bowls. So we're signing Carson Wentz number 1. We are going to be going with Ashley as our starting left tackle. Zion Johnson and him both are leveling up fairly well. Johnson's going to be a good depth in case we have any issues and may even overtake Glowinski sometime. Maybe not this season, but going forward. So that's our starting line. Pretty good. Got 3 solid tight ends. I love running tight ends, pass concepts. We got Pascal as our secondary. We re-signed Hilton. Got Pittman and Campbell behind him. So that's a pretty good start. Naheem Hines as well. So I think our offense is in a very good position to win. I did switch to a vertical zone run. I think we're going to focus a lot on running. I think that the real life Colts will do, maybe not switch their scheme, but they'll focus a lot more on the run game. to alleviate any kind of pressure off Wentz. Similar to what we did with Rivers. We tried to set him up for success by having a really strong run game. So I think we can do that. Defense, we're sticking with like a base 4-3 concept. Like I said, I want to get a lot of pressure from these guys. Hopefully they do. We'll see. I did lose out on Hendrickson, so that kind of hurt my thought process, but Buckner is more than capable. Stewart's coming up there. Cox will come in. You know what? We're gonna have to fix this. They didn't like Cox. Don't like that name. They don't like Cox on their names, even though I'm playing on my own private one. But whatever. We'll fix that for him. Probably not gonna be able to try to do any off things. So we'll just put a big old C for Cox. So that's good. This will be our starting defensive kind of setup. You know, we got Julian Blackman hitting our free safety, which is why we let Hooker go. Griffin coming in, starting. Kenny Moore next to him, totally underrated, totally crapped on. Don't get it. Had an amazing season. Should have been a Pro Bowl selection. Probably should have been up for All-Pro as well. That one-handed interception in the end zone against the Raiders seriously looked like Julio Jones making a fantastic. If Julio would have done it, the whole world would have talked about it. Nobody talked about it enough. Kenny Moore, love you. You're my man. So we're going to have him. Got Rhodes in there and Sin. So we have a pretty good cornerback room. Really, our defensive back room is very well set up. I like our linebacker room, and I think our front four could use some work. But we'll see how things go with our setup right now. Still rocking out Blankenship and Sanchez. Love them. Isaiah Rodgers is going to be our return man. For specialists, I'm going to run nothing too fancy. I'm going to switch Taylor into our third down running back. I really want to focus on Taylor. I want him to be our workhorse, and we'll mix in Hines and Wilkins just as we need. And our practice squad we don't really have anything great going on there. But that's going to be our offense. We're going to set our season goal. Obviously, it's to go to the Super Bowl, but we're going to set it at, let's do it. Super Bowl. Super Bowl is what we want, and that's what it should be every season for everybody. So that's going to be the end of this video. I hope everybody liked it. Leave your comments. Give me some suggestions. This is supposed to be kind of a, not really a group thing because I'm doing most of the work, but I would love suggestions, maybe some trade options, maybe even some certain play calls, things like that you guys really think will help the team. And I want this to kind of grow and be a thing, at least until we get to the draft and kind of see how Ballard makes magic out of nothing in real life. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll jump in next time and kind of go through this X Factor quarterback and defensive end thing and try to make this a great series. So love you guys. Thanks a lot. Thanks again for the support. And I'll see you. Peace. With